Maybe New York Knicks management is drunk on irrational confidence. Or maybe they're just drunk.
Hey! We're partying in here! We got all kinds of beer!
But recent reports say they think they have what it takes to land a disgruntled star. So Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr. aren't getting the job done, huh? All jokes aside, the Knicks do have a few players and a bevy of draft picks that could fetch an all-star type player.
Excellent.
In today's video, I'll tell you who some of those targets should be and which of their players they'd have to give up to make it happen. What's up, guys? This is Troy, host of the Half Court Report YouTube channel. If you want quality NBA content, then you have come to the right place. If it's your first time here, I do have to mention I'm legally required as an NBA YouTuber to ask that you like this video and subscribe to this channel. We've got a goal of 15 likes for this video, and y'all have been killing it with the likes and subscriptions lately. We're about to finish the channel's most successful month since we started this whole thing, so thank you so much for that. 62 subscriptions by my count at this time, and maybe that doesn't seem like a lot, but when we look back on this a few months from now and we're over 1K, then it's going to be really cool. So I'm excited for what's ahead for this channel. And also, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Half Court Report. If you've watched my recent Knicks video, and if you haven't, come on, what's wrong with you? You got to watch it. Then you may have heard me mention that I had a second Knicks video in the works where I was going to run through some potential trades that the team should consider in order to try and become competitive again. So this alone is newsworthy because the Knicks have always prided themselves on being the mecca of basketball where superstars want to play. The only problem is that doesn't happen. I'm not sure where this fantasy world of the Knicks signing marquee free agents started. I mean, the biggest signings of the last 10 years have been Amar'e Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony. And the only reason they got Stoudemire was because they paid him a contract that no other team in the league was going to pay him due to his injury concerns. And of course, to no one's surprise, his knees gave out after a couple seasons, and they ended up buying out the rest of his contract. I think when that happened, fire extinguishers across the New York City area breathed a sigh of relief. And as far as Carmelo, they re-signed him after they traded for him in the prior season, and he was a guy who grew up wanting to play for the Knicks. So yeah, you're always going to have the guys who are from New York or who are drawn to the mystique of playing in the Garden, but that only works for a very small portion of the NBA population. That's not a sustainable free agency plan. So what is?
I have a plan.
Until the Knicks prove they can be a consistent winner and free agents show that they want to go there, it looks like a trade to be competitive again is going to be the best route. So what do they have to offer a rival team? Let's get into that. From my recent video, I went over some of the players with team options for next season that I don't think would be wise for the Knicks to hold on to. Those include Bobby Portis, Wayne Ellington, and Elfrid Payton. So that leaves 9 players under contract for next season. They are Frank Ntilikina and Dennis Smith at the point guard, RJ Barrett at the 2, Reggie Bullock, Iggy Brazdeikis at the 3, Julius Randle and Kevin Knox at the 4, and then Mitchell Robinson and Taj Gibson at the 5. So that's 9 players already under contract for next year. You can also possibly throw in their free agents Mo Harkless, Damian Dotson, and Alonzo Trier, who they may end up re-signing. Additionally, the Knicks will have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, along with some first-round picks that they'll be getting from the Mavericks and the Clippers. So all that is fair game for a potential trade. So let's make some deals.
Let's make a deal!
The first one I'm going to throw out is Oklahoma City's Chris Paul. Now, most folks expected Paul to be traded at some point after the Oklahoma City trade from Houston, but he actually ended up having a pretty good year with the Thunder, and he embraced his new teammates, he embraced his role on that team, and he even was an all-star this past season. And that was one of the main reasons that Oklahoma City was still fighting for home court advantage in the playoffs when the NBA shutdown happened. When you look at Chris Paul, though, his age and his contract are going to be the biggest concerns. He'll be 35 by the time next season starts, and he has 2 years left on his deal at an insane $41 million and $44 million. So yeah, he makes a ton. So in order to do a deal for Chris Paul, it would have to look something like Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, and Frank Ntilikina. The Knicks would probably push to include Dennis Smith Jr. in that trade instead of Ntilikina, but if I'm OKC, I'm holding out for Frankie Smokes. I think the Clippers or Mavericks pick might have to be included as well. For OKC, I really like the idea of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Frank Ntilikina backcourt. I think it has a lot of defensive potential, and I really like big backcourts, and I cannot lie. Julius Randle would end up forming a really nice front court with Steven Adams as well. So for the Knicks, you're going to get a winner in Chris Paul. I think he would elevate the games of the young guys. I think he'd really help out Mitchell Robinson. When he was with New Orleans, you'll recall that he helped out Tyson Chandler a ton. He really helped out DeAndre Jordan when he was with the Clippers. So I think he could do the same for Robinson. Assuming the Knicks draft a point guard in this upcoming draft, you could have him learn from Paul for the next couple seasons as his backup and then move into that starting role. Another option would be to try to swing a trade for Karl-Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let me preface this by saying I think the Timberwolves are still about a year and a half away from moving on from Towns, if that. They really want to see how he's going to mesh with D'Angelo Russell because they really didn't get a chance to see that back when they made the trade for him back at the deadline in February. But let's put Towns here just to see what kind of trade we could get from it. So Towns is signed for $29 million next year. Then he's on the books for 3 more years after that. So the Timberwolves definitely have the leverage when it comes to any sort of trade demand, if it comes to that with Towns. In order for Minnesota to even consider an offer from the Knicks, I think it would need to include Julius Randle, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and probably an unprotected Knicks first-round pick. So that gives the Wolves a core of D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, who I do think they're going to re-sign, Jarrett Culver, and Robinson. Then you have Randle and Knox to make them a pretty deep team. Towns would be added to RJ Barrett and that 2020 lotto pick. If it ends up being LaMelo Ball, then that's a really nice young team, but there are a lot of what-ifs in this scenario. You could even do a similar deal for Utah's Rudy Gobert. Utah says that they're not going to trade him, but, never say never. Gobert makes about $3 million less than Towns. He's not on Towns' level, at least, of course, when it comes to an offensive game. So I think the Knicks could get away with not including that pick or swap out Knox for a lesser player. Don't know if this would be enough to get the deal done on Utah's side, but, it's a possibility. You may have also heard rumors of Kevin Love being traded away from Cleveland and maybe going to the Knicks. This would be a trade where New York would actually be in the driver's seat on this one because the Cavs have tried unsuccessfully, it seems like quite a while now, to find some sort of market for Love and get what they think is fair value. His contract is pretty steep. He's owed about $30 million for the next 3 seasons, so this would be mainly a salary dump for Cleveland. I think Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, Brazdeikis would get that job done. The Knicks have been saying they'd like to do an offense with lots of shooting, and Love is a shooter. He can light it up. So I think he would bring that to the team, add him in along with RJ, the 2020 lotto pick, and Robinson. That's a pretty solid team, and I think they could make a run for the playoffs in the East. Finally, we're going to take a look at a deal for Chicago's Lauri Markkanen. So there's been talk that he's not happy in Chicago or with his situation on that team. He did have a bit of a down year this season. He's also still on his rookie deal, so matching salaries might be a little trickier for this one. The Knicks aren't going to want to give up RJ or Robinson in a deal for Markkanen, so they would need to include, I think, a future first rounder, maybe 2. I don't think the Bulls would want Ntilikina, especially since their backcourt is already pretty full with Zach LaVine, Tomas Satoransky, Kobe White. They're saying they want to re-sign Chris Dunn too. I don't know where Frankie Smokes would play in that. The best deal I can come up with for these teams includes Kevin Knox, Brazdakis, and a 2021 Knicks first rounder. Now, neither team has long contracts or really bad contracts that they would need to move. So we're just going to keep it simple in this deal with a bunch of the young guys. Might not move the needle too much for the Knicks, but as I mentioned before, they want shooting. Markkanen could provide that. So for me, it comes down to this. The Knicks aren't going to be able to change what players and what agents think about them overnight. This is going to take a few seasons, so in that case, they're going to need to be patient and only pull the trigger on a deal that's going to help them now and in the future. Otherwise, I'm going to be right back here a year from now doing this exact same video. So tell me in the comments what you think of these potential trades. Also, make sure to like this video. We're going for 15 likes on this one. If you enjoy this type of content, do consider subscribing to this channel. Would really appreciate it. Helps me out a ton if you do that. Thanks again for watching. One more time, my name is Troy. This is the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, one more thing. Here's some more videos to check out on the Half Court Report channel. I hope you like them, and thanks for watching.